You know, I'm going to give you a history lesson.
We got some dumbass motherfuckers floating around this country.
Stop laughing! And when I do, start.
Also, y'all did some nasty-ass jokes on my ass, too.
Funny jokes and unfunny jokes come out of the same birth.
You f***ing guys are unbelievable.
Why are you laughing?
Evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Why You Laughing, a history of comedy podcast. And today, I am pleased to introduce to you the comedians to watch in 2025. I know Craig likes this episode because I take out my whistle and clipboard, and I get to scouting. I tell you folks, the people to keep your eye on in the new year. It's not really, there's no, we label it comedians to watch in 2025 because I think YouTube probably likes that, but it's nothing predicting what the year to come will be. It's really just people you should check out in the new year. Comics that I've liked for a long time that maybe aren't as big of names that I think should be bigger. So hopefully this gives you guys some recommendations. You can check out their podcasts, their social media. If they're in at a club or doing a show near you, you should definitely check them out. If you trust my recommendation. And let me know any names that you think I might not know in the comments section. Because, there's a lot of comics out there. I hear there's only 250. I heard that on a podcast once. But I believe there's possibly even more.
There's more, but there's 250 comedy assassins.
That's right. That's right. Let us know in the comments who I missed or should keep an eye on for next year. Because, Coach Geary has always got his eye on the ball, When it comes to, there's a lot I don't see, but when it comes to comedy, not much gets past me.
I did enjoy last year just picturing you with that clipboard and whistle.
I'm running drills. All right, this is roast battle, gang. Come on,
roast that lady in the third row.
All right, but first I want to tell you to go to blindmike.net. That's where all our links are. You can support the show. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, share. Post to your Instagram stories. Spread the word, for God's sake. If you know people getting into comedy or people that are interested in this kind of stuff, tell them to check this out. Maybe they'll agree with my opinions. Maybe they'll hate me. But either way, leave your feedback in the comments. And if you want early access and bonus content, then you can become a member on Patreon or YouTube. Support the show for as little as $5 a month. We appreciate you. All our free links are there as well at blindmike.net. So thank you for supporting the show. And it's Christmas time. Go to verygoodshow.org to support Craig. He's been a good boy all year. That's
right.
Yes. All right. Shall we get into it?
We absolutely shall.
So we're starting with a guy who is, this might be a little hometown bias, but he was maybe the first guest on the Blind Mike Project, or definitely a very early one. My guy, formerly of the Rad Dude Cast, that's where I discovered him, Brendan Eyre. Difficult name to spell, Eyre. You wouldn't know how to find him if you don't know him already. But I think he's a great, tremendously underrated. He has an album that's on Spotify, but he doesn't have a ton of content out there. He posts fairly regularly on Instagram, but he moved out of New York. I think he lives in Portland, Maine now. So he's kind of disappeared from any of the regular comedy scenes. But I think Brendan's hilarious. You should definitely check him out. Like I said, if you find any shows he's hitting up, definitely worth buying a ticket. But let's hear a little Brendan Eyre.
Spent a significant amount of time in the mental hospital. And if you've never been, you gotta go. It is my best friend in the mental hospital. He had schizophrenia, and every morning at breakfast, he would just stand up and he would just yell to the whole cafeteria. He would go, "They put too much semen in my oatmeal." And my favorite part was that he said, "Too much?" Like, somebody get this guy the right amount of cum in his Quaker Oats. He said $1.
Oh, and that is true. Brendan has spent a lot of time in and out of mental hospitals. He is clinically out of his mind, but he comes off so polished and well-spoken. I think that's one of my favorite mixes of a person, when you can tell they're a little off, but they don't present that way, you know?
What are your least favorite mixes?
I don't have one. Don't rain on my parade here. That's clearly it. A guy who interrupts the show and has nothing to say. That's my least favorite mix.
That was a funny joke. But we have more from him.
All right.
I was driving on the highway and I saw a sign that said, "Caution, low-flying aircraft." What do they want me to do? Duck? Like, why is that a sign for the driver? You need a sign for the pilot. Caution, ground.
That particular joke felt very Reagan-y to me. What am I supposed to do?
If you're saying he's in Portland, Maine, I've seen the signs he got this joke from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like Brendan Eyre a lot. Like I said, on the Rad Dude cast with Greg Stone and Anthony DeVito, Greg is like kind of an off-the-wall personality, and Brendan was basically the straight man on that show, but did it so perfectly. I think this is a very rare talent. I'm sure Craig will question me on that again, but I think this is a very rare talent to be like the straight man in a situation and also be the funny one, at least to me. Those are the guys that stand out to me a lot. So I like Brendan Eyre. I think he should be more of a name in comedy. I wish he got out and did more stuff and promoted himself. So I'm doing it here. Go check out Brendan Eyre.
He's very funny. I like how he's probably going for the Bob Marley replacement. He is getting old after all.
Sure, yeah, maybe that's why he moved to Maine to take over that spot.
The market's going to open up.
You would think so, yeah. I don't know how much Maine humor he has, but yeah, eventually that old fuck's going to die.
That's right. Next, we have... do you want to say, or do you want me to do this? How do you want?
I don't remember who's next, so go ahead.
Ari Matti.
Oh yeah, this is the only Kill Tony guy I threw on the list because I think he is genuinely the funniest regular they've discovered, at least in a long time. Like early in the year, I was considering putting Cam Patterson on this list, and I think he's a guy who's hurt by having to come up with a minute every week. You know, like I don't think he always is prepared, and I think exposing yourself like that kind of makes people think you're a worse comic than you are in some cases. Like I think Cam seems like a very funny, talented guy that could do something with his career, but having to come up with a new minute every week might be a bad thing for him. Whereas Ari, you can tell Hinchcliffe likes him a lot because he's using him a ton. But Ari has had some very funny jokes, particularly this one that I specifically, this joke alone may have made me put him on the list. I think this was an episode that Shane Gillis was one of the guests on, and he said you should have saved this for a special. Like it was almost a mistake to use it on Kill Tony, even though it's a huge platform. But I thought this was a great joke from Ari Matti.
I went to the cafe yesterday, sitting there, and then I overheard a couple having an argument. You know, when you hear that sweet nectar of life? You know, when you like pause your own music? And they're going at it. And then I look who the couple is. It's two gay guys going at it. Shit was crazy. They like both made sense. Everybody stayed on one topic. Nobody was bringing up old shit. Just two logical, superior brains trying to find a solution. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I love that joke so much because it's a topic that's been talked about so often, but no one's tackled it in exactly that way. And it feels like that was right there for people. It felt like a wholly unique observation, but very obvious. Like someone should have gotten to it first, you know?
It's a perfect joke.
An absolutely perfect joke. And like I've heard Ari now on he was on Rogan and Are You Garbage? He's made the kind of the rounds in podcasting. He has a very interesting story. He obviously has a very unique delivery. He's from Estonia, and hopefully Kill Tony doesn't overexpose him. I think that can happen a lot with guys on that show, and you keep using them. You kind of hammer them into the ground a little bit, like I said with Cam Patterson. But I think Ari has potential to be very funny. I mean, he's still young in comedy, so I don't know what his next move is going to be as far as putting out a special or anything like that. But based on the minute chunks I've heard on Kill Tony, I think the kid's got something.
That joke went viral too.
Yeah, that was like that was a genuinely great. And Shane Gillis being on and telling you should have saved that for a special is probably a big deal. You know.
The good news is it might not be a closer, but he could still probably put it in somewhere.
He could put that in still, yeah. Even I think when something goes viral, you think everyone's seen it, but it's not, and that's a good enough joke that it should still be in the special. I think, even though we've seen it already.
Could add to it too.
Yeah, but he's consistently funny on there, and it's not just because Tony is telling me what a murderer he is. You know? This guy is phenomenal. No, I put that aside, and I'm like, okay, have your own thoughts about this guy. I loved the one time Gillis called Tony out for that because he was introducing Cam Patterson. And he's like, this guy is one of the greatest artists of our lifetime. And Shane's like, why are you doing that to him? What a horrible introduction for someone.
It's the worst because then they expect great.
It's only down. Yeah, it's only down. You can go from there. But Ari Matti, at least to me, has risen above that. So keep an eye on Ari Matti. He's on Kill Tony. So he probably doesn't need me to pump his tires. But I think he's got something.
Next, we have Matt Wayne.
Matt Wayne is a guy that Joe List has talked about endlessly. He's one of Joe List's good buddies. If you listen to Tuesdays with Stories, you've heard the name Matt Wayne over and over again. This is a very common name in the Tuesdays with Story world, but I've never caught his stand-up, really. The many times I've seen Joe List, Matt Wayne has an open for him. I haven't seen him at Skankfest or anything like that, so I have not caught Matt Wayne until a couple weeks ago when he put out a special on Joe List's YouTube channel, and I watched it and loved it. Take a Sniff is what the special is called. It's on Joe List's YouTube channel, like I said, and it's the first time I've seen Matt Wayne. He has the Mark Normand Joe List voice. That's the first thing you'll notice about him. But I think he also has like their level of material. He's an older guy than I realized. He's 42. Yeah. I always thought he was younger.
Yeah, I like how he's got that voice, and those two are just like, this guy's got something.
It's weird. They're magnets for 1940s voices.
Like if they called a baseball game during World War II.
Yes, yeah. Whitey Willoughby, as I think that's a Bill Burr name. But the open of Take a Sniff, Matt Wayne's special, is him making a joke about like an old crooner or something, which kind of eases you into, okay, this is I like the I like the melody of this guy's voice, but he's also got good jokes.
No, it fascinates me. It really does, because I wanted to learn everything there was to know about it. I was like, you just can't show up with a baby. There are rules, okay? If you want a newborn baby to be in a television show or a film, any kind of production, that baby, it has to be at least 15 days old. That still seems soon, doesn't it? And I thought about it, like, how did you get to 15 days? Kind of makes sense if you think about it. You ever see a 14-day-old baby? They don't have it. No sparkle whatsoever. You meet a 14-day-old baby who's like, I want to be in the pictures. You say, get some sleep. We'll do tomorrow.
I'm a sucker for a guy like Matt Wayne because I'm so attracted to that voice and that delivery. Yeah. I think his jokes are great, obviously, but that Seinfeld-y cadence. Like I remember the first time I ever listened to Tuesdays with Stories, I heard Joe List on Bob Kelly's podcast and he promoted it. I said, "This guy's pretty funny. Let me check it out." the first time you hear them, they have the same voice. Like Nick Mullen's impression of the two of them is the same. One is just slightly higher pitched.
Exactly.
And you're like, how did these two voices find each other? And now they're collecting them around New York City. It's bizarre. But I think Matt Wayne is definitely a descendant of those two guys, and I think very funny and worth checking out. So go watch his special on YouTube, follow him on Instagram and all of that, and check out Matt Wayne. Tell me if you like him.
I love the idea of them walking around just listening to people on the sidewalk collecting.
Hey, what are you up to, character? My father's gay.
He's got it. Next we have, I don't know how to pronounce this, Naeem Ali. Is that right?
Naeem Ali, yeah. He's a Philly guy. He does a podcast with Drew Montana, Do-Rag and the Deer Tag. I know he goes on the road with Louis J. Gomez a bunch. I've heard him on Legion of Skanks and Real Ass Podcast. And I started checking out his stand-up because I thought he was good on a bunch of those shows. And I like his mind because the way, well, you'll hear it here, where like I like the track that he thinks on. I believe this is a similar topic to a Patrice O'Neal joke we played on a recent episode, but he goes a different direction with it.
Y'all think black people should get reparations? Yo, you ever want a white person to shut up? That's what you guys say. You think I should get reparations? They can be like, all right, hear me out. I think we should get reparations, but I know y'all worry, like, oh, what are you going to take the money out of my paycheck? No. Let us get discounts. That's all I'm saying. Let me get a discount. Let me get 50% off all cotton products. That's all I'm saying. Half off. She was like, bro, that's fair. That's fair shit. Half off cotton. A pack of socks cost $12. Why get it for $6? You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. That's fair. That's all I'm saying. We could do that. Let me get half off German Shepherds and fire hoses and shit like that. Let me get half off of that. Please. When I go to Home Depot and I go to goddamn noose aisle, I need 50% off my ropes. You see what I'm saying? Half off ropes for me. Yeah. I just think that's fair as shit. That's all I'm saying. And look, we can do this with everybody. If you Chinese, half off a train ticket or some shit, nigga. You see what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck y'all do, Chinese niggas. You know what I'm saying? If you Jewish, what do you get half off of everything?
I wish you stopped that after half off fire hoses because that's such a ridiculous.
It's very as if you'd ever need one. But like, yeah, he has another joke I saw on his Instagram that he said that women talk about their like the pain of childbirth and stuff like that. He goes, you know who the real tough guys is fat guys, because you could see a fat guy get shot and the first thing he's worried about is my shirt coming up? And I thought that was such a brilliant joke for a non-fat guy to come up with. Like, to come up with that conclusion is masterful, because that is like any altercation. You're like, oh fuck, I look ridiculous right now. You're tugging on the end of your shirt, and that's such a funny observation for a guy who's in shape to get to. But yeah, I like that. It's also rare for if you listen to enough of these Philly guys, it's rare to find one that doesn't have the exact same accent. So we had to go to a different race to find someone that doesn't sound exactly like Matt McCusker. But
yeah, seriously.
But yeah, check out Naeem Ali. Check out Do-Rag and the Deer Tag. I like those guys. Sam Talent was on a recent episode of Do-Rag and the Deer Tag. Maybe start there. Sam Talent, who made last year's list. What a highlight of his career that was. Remember?
We should make awards and mail them.
What the fuck is this?
It would just be so funny.
That's how you go. That's how you get your name out there, kids.
Next we have Sarah Tollemache.
Sarah Tollemache, Joe List's wife.
Oh, my fault.
I'm really making my way around Joe List's apartment complex. Sarah Tollemache, I've seen open almost every time, if not every time I've seen Joe List, and she kills almost as hard as he does. Like, she is a great comic, and for whatever reason has never taken. She has a couple YouTube specials, Voluptuous Boy and Butthole Money, and it's a great name. But for whatever reason, like I've seen her on podcasts and she's funny. Like she's been on Are You Garbage and been very funny. She was just on Story Wars and she's good on all these things. I don't know why her name isn't out there more. She's married to a successful comic and not equally funny because Joel's is my guy, but like just as funny as anyone. And for some reason, her career hasn't taken off the way a lot of her peers have. But I highly recommend Sarah Tollemache. Check her out on Instagram. And this is a little of her comedy.
I can be just as annoying. Like, this is my new annoying trait. I don't know why I do this, but I like to set my husband up with boring stories at a hang. I'll just be like, oh my God, honey, tell him about that time when you couldn't find the FedEx slot. He's like, what are you doing to me right now? I'm like, I don't know, you shared it with me this morning and it was so riveting. But I was like, you should definitely share this with your guy friends tonight. That's what happens when you grow old with somebody, is you run out of cool stories to share with each other, and then your stories have no plot points or character development. And you're just like, I just have to say this out loud or I'll die. You're my diary now. That's what you know.
It's funny too, because like when I've seen her open for Joe, she'll say stuff like "my husband," and then she'll kind of point out once in a while. She's like, "I know it's weird saying that because a lot of you guys know who I'm talking about," and you're like, "Is he coming out or should we leave? What's going on here?" Which is very funny a funny way to address it. But I like Sarah a lot. I think more people should check her out. There is a weird thing. Like we talked about Adrian Appalucci in the best specials episode. We talked about Jordan Jensen last year. I think there's a weird thing for female comics when they appeal more to men, because men inherently won't check them out because they'll be like, what is this, Hannah Berner or something? You know what I mean? Like they do get stereotyped in that way, but also like they aren't really appealing to women, so they don't have that rabid fan. So I think it kind of pigeonholes them in a weird area. But go check out Sarah Tollemache.
Next we have Andy Haynes.
Yes, another comedian relationship. He's married to Rosebud Baker, and she is more successful. I think Andy Haynes is funnier. He has a special called The Coward of Gramercy, which I think is another great title. Awesome. But I've watched that, and I've watched a bunch of his Instagram clips. I think he's hysterical. The first time I ever heard him was on Come Town, and he immediately, like, his sarcasm and his quickness immediately made me check out more of him. And he's a guy, he's super liberal, but like through his Instagram clips, I think this clip kind of represents it. Like, he's not exactly what you'd expect. Like, he's the perfect mix for comedy of being political, kind of like the stuff we've heard from Jon Stewart lately, where like he has his side, but he's a rational human being. So let's hear from Andy Haynes.
We knew Biden was old way before that debate. I think it was around the time he fell off of a bicycle. I think and the bicycle was not in motion, by the way. It was a stationary bicycle. At the end, it felt mean to let him still be president, right? Like, no? Somebody said no? Well, he is the president still, I guess I should say that. What's that?
I'd rather him to Trump.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be the only two options. No, they're not even the options anymore because he's the president and Trump won.
Unfortunately, yes.
What do you think's going to happen here with this interaction? You're still mad about it? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Go kill a CEO in Midtown. If you want to get some work done, step up. If you want to do the hard labor, that's what it's going to take. It's not going to be any more tote bags and sweet green salads. You got to fucking, quit being a Dem, Start being a man-dem. One person got that joke. That was a reference to Top Boy. That's great.
And that was recorded 2 days before the United Healthcare thing, so that's pretty crazy. But
no, it wasn't.
No, of course not. I was kidding. But yeah, he's very dry and rational, and I think Andy Haynes is very funny. He used to do a podcast with Rosebud, but other than that, I don't see him out there anymore, really, other than Instagram. So keep an eye on Andy Haynes because he's somewhat hard to find, but I think he's very funny and very underrated. And that's going to be weird in a relationship. It's going to be weird for like Sarah Tollemache, who's very talented, but her husband is more successful. It's going to be even weirder for Andy Haynes, who's like, I thought women were suppressed in this business. What the fuck? Why is my wife more successful than me? But I find Andy Haynes funnier than Rosebud Baker, so check him out.
Saying he was level-headed was a perfect description because I feel like any other like liberal comic would have been like, "Yeah, that's fucking right." And he's
what
like,
"What are we accomplishing with this?
Yeah,
what do you
want me to do?"
Well, even not even like liberal comic, but you would kind of go with like, "Hell yeah!" Like just think you're gonna get an applause break here or something. He's like, "What are we doing here, lady? What do you?"
That's very funny. Next, we have Geoffrey Ausmus.
Geoffrey Ausmus. I like that Craig can't pronounce any of the names because it shows you how obscure how much I'm digging through the weeds to find these guys.
Ausnus.
What was a typo? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So I pronounced what I'm reading correctly.
Geoffrey Ausmus. I saw this guy at Laugh Boston earlier this year, and I thought he killed. It was actually, I was kind of preparing for this episode, Craig. You'll enjoy this. I said, I've heard Geoffrey Ausmus's name, maybe heard him on a podcast or two. I know nothing about his stand-up. I'm going to take a flyer on this kid. Honey, we're going out for the night. Is he funny? I don't know. We'll find out together. And I think this clip was actually from the show I was at in Boston.
Yeah, this is definitely Laugh Boston, judging by the backdrop here.
Boston's fun. I was doing some research on this beautiful city. I didn't know this. The Red Sox, Boston Red Sox, one of the well, it's not a pro Red Sox show. I learned this. Red Sox, the last team by far to have a black player. Did you guys know that? Yeah. That's kind of funny because for 100 years we're like, we can't win a World Series. We're cursed. And we're cursed our team. Willie Mays and you have Johnny McGillicuddy. Gee Willikers, why can't we win the pennant?
He has a lot of crowd work clips like that where he basically roasts the city he's going into. But I thought as a kid who grew up hearing a lot about the Red Sox curse, it is hilarious when you realize like, oh yeah, they could have had Willie Mays. I guess maybe they weren't cursed. They were just fucking morons.
Just racist.
Yeah, they're just idiots for a long time. But we have more Geoffrey Ausmus, right?
Yep.
I don't think democracy works. I don't think we're smart enough to vote. I truly don't think we are. No one ever gives an intelligent reason for why they're voting for who they're voting for. A Trump voter's never like, I'm voting for Trump because he's going to lower the export tariffs with China. It's going to lower the prices of consumable goods by 27% in the third fiscal quarter of 2025. Instead, it's like, I'm voting for Trump because the Haitians barbecued my golden doodle. Or someone's like, I'm voting for Kamala because women should be able to commit war crimes. The kids in Gaza should be bombed by someone who looks like them.
Much like we... What's that?
The laugh was what killed me in that joke.
Much like we were saying about Andy Haynes, Geoffrey Ausmus is definitely a liberal guy, but based on like what I've seen from him, almost gets annoyed if you like rally around the Republican half of his jokes. So, because he usually goes harder, like he'll start with a Trump thing and that'll get a laugh, and he'll usually go harder on the liberals afterwards, which I think is good and definitely, like we always say, missed in comedy now a little bit.
As you said, it was the Jon Stewart formula for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're getting back to that. We'll see once Trump is actually in office and people really lose their minds if that holds true. But
we won't be fully back until Trump's done.
Probably so. Yeah. and then we can maybe make fun of everyone again. Wouldn't that be fun?
Because like Bill Maher, he has a funny show, but like he still has that thing for Trump that just you can tell he's not thinking, and it's just like reactionary.
But Geoffrey Ausmus is it's interesting because like he's a great mix of seems like a very intellectual, cerebral guy, and then I heard him on Are You Garbage, and like he's just also a trash bag. Like he like his youth was just a disaster. So like he's a great mix of that, and I think a lot of my favorite comics are where there's aspects of them where you're like, this guy's brilliant. It's like I always say about South Park, where it's like it's so interesting to me that you can call Trey Parker and Matt Stone legitimate geniuses, and then their show has a singing poop that celebrates Christmas. You know?
Yeah.
I think Geoffrey Ausmus has a little bit of that in him, so check him out as well. And based on what I saw him, he should be coming back to Boston soon, so keep an eye out for him.
Next, we have Nathan Lund.
Yeah, we talked about Sam Talent last year, an inaugural Sam Talent, a former winner of the Blind Mike. Keep an eye on this guy contest. Well, he does a podcast, Chubby Behemoth, with Nathan Lund. So that's how I found Nathan Lund, was through Sam Talent. Nathan Lund has a very low quality special out there, and I mean low quality in the sense that like it seems like someone recorded it on their iPhone. Like the audio's not even great. It has like 6,000 views. It's kind of hard to find because it's not on his channel. But I think Nathan Lund is hilarious. And when I saw Sam Talent live in Providence, Nathan Lund opened for him. He killed. There was a drunk heckler in the audience, and he handled it very well. He was going back and forth with him, and he's like, why am I dealing with this? This is Sam's problem. I'll talk to you later.
That's very funny.
But let's hear a little Nathan Lund.
It's always funny to me when people will act like they're not offended by anything, because we all are, right? There's all things that we don't want to be joked about, but I like those mostly guys that are like, oh yeah, man, comedy, man. That's anytime a guy like finds out I do stand up, like, oh man, that's like the last place where there's freedom of speech, man, right up there, man, on that stage, man. That's where you can just say whatever you want. Except, of course, for the 12 things I'm very sensitive about. Other than that, yeah, get up there, have a good time, you know. Just don't mention the branch of the military I served in, the president I voted for, the cancer that took my wife. Other than that, get out there. Let's talk about it.
I like Chubby Behemoth a lot also. Well, that's a very like if you like Matt and Shane or Come Town or shows like that, I think that's in that ilk sort of, but doesn't get nearly as much. Like Sam Talent's very popular now, and their podcast for some reason gets like less views than episodes of this. It's crazy. Yeah, it's weird. So go check out Chubby Behemoth. I don't know if maybe they do great audio numbers. I have no idea. But go check out Chubby Behemoth because I think it's a super underrated podcast. I think Nathan Lund is great for Sam Talent to play off of, and a very good comedian in his own right. Another guy who's very dry. He reminds me a little of what Tom Segura was when he started. Like, it's completely normal Tom Segura. And that's the special name, not a commentary on him. But
well,
but it works. Yeah, it does fit, I guess. But yeah, like early Segura is kind of what he reminds me of.
That guy's not doing pompous watch videos.
Yeah. Hopefully Nathan Lund is never looking at Rolexes and calling them timepieces.
Yeah. This timepiece is beautiful, man. Next, we have Lil Sas.
So I didn't know anything about his comedy until I started seeing clips of him on Harry Settle is his name, right? He's going by that now?
Sometimes.
Okay. He put it on his Instagram, and I heard him say it on a couple podcasts. So I think he at least kind of wants it out there. I think he wants to break off the little Sasquatch name.
It's a little tough to make a comedy career off that name, I believe.
Well, I'll tell you exactly why. Perfect example. I assumed it was a character. Like when I heard the first time I ever heard of him, Tim Dillon was singing his praises. I knew he worked for Barstool, and then I heard Tim Dillon maybe tweeted something nice about him. I forget, but I assumed it was like some kind of character. I assumed he was like a big oaf. And the fact that he worked for Barstool, I thought maybe he's like a gambling guy that's doing a character or something. And then when you hear him, you're like, oh, this is just a traditional, like, he's got a great voice. His composure for how young he is and his stage presence is kind of unbelievable to me. I think he's only, what, 21 or 22?
Something like that.
He's very young.
Yeah.
He does. There is a thing I do, though, when I first hear someone's age. Like, to me, Pete Davidson is still 21. Like,
right.
If you're a really young guy, like, you're that to me. For Pete Davidson's my age, and I'm still like, that young whippersnapper.
Dave Chappelle's still 19.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So he might be, maybe he's a couple years older than that, but he broke out when he was like 20 on social media, got hired by Barstool. And then I started seeing clips of him on Instagram, and I was like, well, this kid, he's actually like very funny, and his confidence and voice on stage stood out to me, because that's not usual for he seems like a polished 10-year veteran or something when you hear him. This is the first joke of his that I heard that made me start following him a little closer. It was when, remember when Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel were going at it over the vaccine?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, well, this is about that.
For those who don't know, Aaron Rodgers, he went on Pat McAfee show. Yes, national TV. And he said Jimmy Kimmel was on the Epstein flight logs, which he was not. Which I think is fucking hilarious. I think that I love that, because that's just like, that's good old school bullying right there. That's like the cool athlete jock just fucking ripping on the theater kid. Just being like, yeah, he fucks kids. I don't know if you guys knew that. And then Jimmy Kimmel's on Twitter. He's like, no, I don't. I don't. That's the equivalent of like stuffing a kid in a locker in high school. That's just, and then there's no consequences for Aaron Rodgers after that. He just gets to be like, yeah, sure, whatever you say, dude. I don't fucking know. I made it up. You might. Who knows?
It's so funny because that was such a polarizing topic, and they both, like, whatever side you're on, Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel were both smelling their own shit and thinking they were 10 billion times smarter than they actually are, going back and forth with each other. And his ability to just strip it down to be a jock stuffing a theater kid into a locker was so funny. And I loved his act out of Jimmy Kimmel react. No.
It's exactly what happened.
It was broken down perfectly. And like I said, he sounds so natural on stage. Like, for a kid that young, I was really impressed the first time I heard him. So go check out Harry Settle, Lil Sas.
Lastly, we have Tim Butterly.
I mean, this is my guy. This is not, like, if you're a fan of the comics that I'm a fan of, I think Craig would agree. This isn't even. This is not a shot in the dark I'm taking. This is like I'm cheating here by choosing Tim Butterly as my top guy to keep an eye on. He doesn't have a ton of stand-up out there. We saw him.
It's very exciting that he has nothing out there.
That's true. Yeah, hopefully he puts out a special soon. But we saw him open for McCusker.
Yep.
And he crushed.
It was great. One of the funniest sets I've ever seen.
And he's a great. I'm gonna have to start putting him on my list of, like I always say on podcasts, the great snipers are like Zach Amico, Mark Normand. Butterly's actually in that category. He's great on podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Also, Tim Butterly is the reason for Dan Soder pranking Fox News. Yeah. He said, "Why don't you have Dan call them as Dave Chappelle?" And they did it.
That's right.
But yeah, like I said, Tim doesn't have a lot of stand-up clips out there. So I went to his Instagram and found he was on, I think this was on Stuff Island. He's with Tommy Pope. And this felt, it's, them talking on a podcast, but it felt very much like his stand-up. So I think it gives you a vibe for what his comedy's like.
I wonder what it does to a wife's psyche to hear the PS5 chirp right after you're done. You're still like dripping out. Huh?
Like it was set on a timer.
Oh yeah. I told them I'd be right back. Sorry, babe.
Oh God.
No, you can sit with me. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're not intruding if you sit while I play.
He has. This is true of a lot of those Philly guys, Shane Gillis included, but they have an amazing mix of confidence and self-deprecation. Like they somehow simultaneously manage to be completely confident in who they are and also have the right of self-loathing to be hysterical, you know?
Well, it's like you can crush yourself, but also your buddy.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, Butterly, he reminds me a lot of him and McCusker in particular. I said the thing about all the Philly guys sounding alike.
Mm-hmm.
Him and McCusker in particular have very similar energies, philosophy on life. Like they both, like their takes on parenting are very similar. So I think if you like Matt McCusker, you'll probably like Tim Butterly. Like I said, me choosing Tim Butterly to end the episode with was kind of a cheat code, because if you follow a lot of the comics that I follow, you probably already like Tim Butterly and the Dad Meat podcast and the Tim Butterly show. But if you don't know him already, then definitely go check him out. Look for him whenever he comes to your city. He's headlining now. And hopefully keep an eye out for a special coming soon, because like I said, we saw him live at Laugh Boston, open for McCusker. And I've seen him a couple times at Skankfest as well. And he crushes. He's got some great, very unique, different material.
You got to trust us. Go see the boy.
Yes. And speaking of things you should see in 2025, I've been talking about this for a long time. I think Joe DeRosa filmed his special.
Like 2 years ago.
I think he finally filmed it.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that, because there's no way it lives up to my hype.
Not at this point.
But I do think it's great. Like I saw Joe DeRosa live do the special that he's working on. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden, and he destroyed. I thought it was like one of the best hours I've seen live in a long time. So I'm sure it'll disappoint me, but keep an eye out for it, and you can come back here and call me an idiot in the comments if I'm wrong, I guess.
Everyone's going to be like, this is the special Mike was hyping for 3.5 years.
I know. But I mean, it's taken so long for him to put it out.
He's afraid.
But yeah, so check out all these guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm onto something. If you think I'm an idiot, You feel free to blame me if you spend any time watching these guys and you don't like them. But these are my guys and gals for 2025, and hopefully you check them out. And you know what else I hope you check out is blindmike.net, because that's where all our links are. It's where you can support this fine program, wherever you get podcasts. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Leave comments, likes, stars, subscriptions. Do everything that every other podcast tells you to do. But we need it more, Grow this show, for God's sake. Help get more eyeballs on it. Liking, commenting, subscribing, all that stuff helps that process. And if you really like us, you can become a member for as little as $5 a month. You get early access to some content. You get bonus episodes. You get Quincy, which everyone's clamoring for. We're coming down to the wire on that. So check out blindmike.net. We appreciate you guys. Also go to verygoodshow.org. Spread some Christmas cheer. Go listen to Rubbed Out.
Yeah.
Go listen to Very Good Show. That's on my watch list for 2025.
Very good show.
Yeah. I think these kids have got it.
That's right.
Go check them out.
Coming up the ranks.
Yes. And check out HackRideTheDemon.com. Our boy HackRide and DJ ELECTRA Fry.
DJElectraFry.com.
Yes. They work very hard on this program as well. So show your appreciation for them. And thank you for yet another great year. Happy New Year, everybody. And or this might be coming out next year. Well, whatever. We'll see you next week or something. Bye-bye. On Why Are You Laughing? I say that at the end. All right, we're done.
Zip it up and zip it out.